Patriots 2021 schedule has been released, and of course, the first thing we all look for is when will they play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Sir Tom Brady. Well, it's happening a lot earlier than a lot of us assumed in week 4. Mariah, Janos, and Evan Lazar here. Evan, just your thoughts on taking on Tom and Tampa that early in the season.
It's a fascinating game to monitor because we assume there are going to be fans in the stands at some capacity at Gillette in the fall. We know that Tom Brady is going to have a lot of 12 jerseys out there, Patriot 12 jerseys. And I'm really fascinated to see, is it sort of a mocking crowd that kind of cheers the Patriots and like kind of jokes around with Brady? Or is everybody just rooting for Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Is there half the stadium rooting for the Bucs and half the stadium's rooting for the Patriots? I can't wait to see how the cheering goes and how kind of the breakdown of who's rooting for who goes, because I think it's going to be really fascinating. And the other thing about it being early is that the Patriots are probably not going to be the team that they're going to be at the end of the year, at the beginning, like every team, but especially the New England because of the quarterback situation, right? So once we get into week 12, 13, we might start to see Mac Jones. At that point, the whole kind of narrative of the team changes. So I'm really interested to see what's their record going into that Tampa Bay game. Are they 1-3, 1-2? Are they 3-0? You know, where does the team stand at that point? Because if they're struggling and Cam Newton is struggling and he's still starting against Brady and Brady blows them out at Gillette, then there's going to be a whole lot of sports talk radio the next Monday about how much of a disaster everything is in New England. So it's a really fascinating game for so many reasons, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how the breakup in cheering and the fan base in the stands, how does that go? Because I know that Ace Ticket and a couple of other ticket places have already come out and say that they anticipate this to be the hottest regular season ticket in the history of the NFL. So it's going to be really a sight to see Tom Brady come back in a different uniform. And there is a chance that the people there are going to cheer on the other team more than the hometown team.
I feel like, and again, it depends on how the Patriots will be at that point in time, but as of right now, even last season, when we knew that this game was 2 seasons away, and we were waiting for it, it was like, great, Tom's going to come back and crush us with this. I feel like that has always been the thought, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coming off of a Super Bowl, are the more elite team here. So you might as well just go in cheering for Tom Brady. If the Patriots end up playing well, then you can start throwing out kind of switching sides mid-game. I don't know, cheering for both sides the entire time. But another thing that you brought up about them not being in true form in week 4, when I think back to this past season, and granted the 2020 season was just a wash for so many reasons, but when I think back to it, week 4, around that time, I don't know the exact week, but Cam Newton was actually at his peak. It was right before he got COVID and the decline started. I think about that game against the Seahawks. That was so exciting. He played really well. The Patriots played well. So maybe they'll go in that, I hope not, but if they're working in that reverse trend again, they might have a pretty decent performance in week 4. But I mean,
it's a good litmus test, to say the least, of this offseason, right? Whether it's Cam or Mac Jones under center, you're going up against the Super Bowl champs. You're going up against Tom Brady. We know everything that he brings to the table. You definitely can see that, okay, if they can go toe-to-toe, even if they lose to the Bucs, if they can go toe-to-toe and hang with Tampa Bay for 4 quarters, that really does bode well for what the Patriots are building here in Foxborough. And this is going to be a much better defense in Foxborough, too. We talk so much about the offense and Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith and Mac Jones, and rightfully so, but the defense is all – Bill Belichick went to work on this defense, too. The front 7 is going to be a lot of different faces. You know, Matt Judon, Kyle Van Noy coming back, Dante Hightower coming back from the opt-out, the reworked defensive line, the guys that they got in the draft, and Barmore and Ronnie Perkins. They have a bunch of different faces on that defense, and they really retooled that side of the football too. So this will be a great test, because Brady and the Bucs spoke a lot about how, we won the Super Bowl last year, but our offense still wasn't even – we think that there's another level that our offense can get to with more time together and more practice time and ability to build chemistry together. So if that's the truth, and the Bucs offense is even better in 2021 than it was last year, and this will be a really good test about the defense that Bill Belichick has put together this offseason.
Yeah, absolutely. This, I mean, hands down, has to be the toughest game on their schedule. I mean,
it's
right?
the toughest game on this. It's the game of the year.
I mean, it is. Yes, it's the game. It's the game of the decade, century of the NFL.
Regular season wise, you can't compare it to anything. I don't remember if Peyton Manning went back to Indianapolis with Denver. I'm sure he did at some point, but really, I don't think that you can't compare this game to anything else that's ever happened, because on top of the fact that it's just the whole Bucs versus Patriots in terms of the two teams being good teams, no one expected Tom Brady to be playing in a different uniform, right? Nobody expected Tom Brady to be coming here as a visitor at any point in his career. So it's wacky. It's weird. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a weird feeling. And we haven't even mentioned Rob Gronkowski's name this entire video either. And he's going to be there too. So it's going to just be a weird feeling. And I'm sure it's going to be weird for Brady to run out the wrong tunnel and to be in the visitors' locker room and like all these things. It's going to be a really fascinating environment.
Oh, that's just weird. And now it's really hit me the second you just said that, running out of the wrong tunnel.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be running out of the end zone with the lighthouse. He's going to be running out of the opposite end zone where the visitors come from. And let me tell you, I've been in both the Patriots locker room and the visitors locker room. Visitors locker rooms in the NFL are not that impressive, right? Like, these are not, super like high-end locker rooms like what you see for the home team. So Brady is going to have a totally different experience.
Yeah, it's going to be a different experience for all of us. So we're all counting down the days till week 4 now. Here we go. The countdown is on. For all of our Patriots coverage, head to clnsmedia.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel over at Patriots Press Pass.